So I wanted to talk about the use of landmines in Arma Reforger and more specifically anti-tank mines because it is something that's just not used to its greatest ability. I wanted this video to be sort of a demonstration as to how you as a player, if you're interested in anti-tank mines, to sort of get you thinking on creative ways to use them. Whenever I'm playing a game of Arma Conflict, I'll see somebody has gone around and placed a mine like this. Now, of course, if you've got eyes and you can see properly, you'll probably see this mine and completely avoid it. First things first, when it comes to anti-tank mines, there's a certain time period at the moment where anti-tank mines are the most effective, and it's usually at the start of a game. So fresh game, everybody's leaving main operating base. Maybe there's a couple of points capped where people still haven't got the main points, but this is the biggest opportunity. Now there's two ways that you can do this, and this is what I prefer to do. And I'm going to be using the Soviets as an example for this video, but I'm sure it is applicable to the Americans as well. The best thing I can recommend that you do at the start is kill a few AI, cap a few meaningless points. Level yourself up to corporal so you can have access to the arsenal truck. Now, of course, this isn't the only way to get access to a plethora of mines. Once you've done that, your next plan is to try and predict where the enemy are going to be approaching from. Because remember, at the start of a conflict game, there's no helicopters. Even if there are helicopters, they're not going to be used very much. So at the start of games, people are usually driving around in Humvees, in supply trucks, etc. Say the American main's here and we've spawned over near Lamul. They've capped Levy. We've just capped Morton, right? This road here is going to be of interest to us as anti-tank players. If you're putting mines here on this open stretch of road, they can be seen very easily from a distance. So what I like to do is whenever I'm trying to place mines, I'm trying to find it in sort of like a spot where you come up real quick, or like it is concealed until you're right up on them. Okay. So for me recently, I found if our team has captured Morton and the Americans or the Soviets are coming from this direction, I find that this little stretch of road here, this little S bend, is very good for anti-tank mine placements. Especially if you look at the side of the roads here, there are, it's essentially a funnel, right? So you've got your trees as a funnel, acts as coverage, and it also acts as sort of like a mental barrier. So if you've got a plethora of mines placed here, obviously when you're driving at 100 kilometers an hour around this turn, and you've got all of these trees and there's so much going on visually, the anti-tank mines are probably going to be the last thing that you see when coming around this curve, right? And this is where using that mentality is very beneficial. So we're going to get some anti-tank mines here. And there's a few ways that I like to use these mines. And it is something that not a lot of people do. If I'm ever placing mines, I found one strategy a few years ago, and this was a tactic that had been used a lot, was the staggered mine pattern. Now I'm going to put this out and I'll show you sort of the result. So as you can see here, these mines are placed in a staggered column. Now, the trick to these is you can have, endless amounts. You can double, triple, to however big you want this column to be in a staggered column. Now, this works very effectively, and it is something that is currently being used in the war in Ukraine, and I can see why. It is a very effective aerial denial strategy, and essentially, this is going to kill a lot of people. If you're not seeing this, you are going to get blown up. It covers a lot of area, and it's just a huge amount of mines, right? Now, the secret to, I find, especially in Arma Reforger, is don't just put your mines that you've placed on the road on the road. You got to come out a little bit. See here, we've got a few mines. Now, normally, I use this fence as sort of a guide. Because a lot of people, if they see these mines, they go, oh shit, mines, they'll come off on the side of the road thinking that we've just placed these on the road. They've come over here and they're going to hit this mine, or they're going to hit that mine, or they come over here and hit these mines. Now, normally I will come out quite a way. So essentially these kind of act as sort of a dummy, essentially. And if people are coming around this corner really fast and they see these, they're going to go, shit, either I'm going to pull off onto the right or they're going to pull off onto the left. Or sometimes they will just pull up and destroy these mines and continue on. Or if they're quick enough, they will just bypass these things. Because remember, at the end of the day in Arma Reforger, the tire needs to touch the mine. You can't just have a car drive over it because it's not putting any pressure on the pressure plate. So this is one really effective solution, and obviously you can make these as big and as these columns as big or as many as you want, you know, however you like. I'm going to show an example in this video of this actually working. This is one way that I place mines in Arma Reforger. Obviously, this is something that takes a bit of time and effort, but if you want to try out some anti-tank mine gameplay, this is a very effective strategy. Got people coming. Is that not set?
Are they inside the base?
Shit. They're coming.
Two just got inside.
Remember, the amount of the mines that you place is not restricted in Arma Reforger. To my knowledge, it doesn't get cleaned up. When the mines are placed, you can place as many as you like in any sort of order or pattern that you like. Another effective strategy that I've discovered, and it works a lot better on sort of smaller roads and on roads that have a lot of foliage and grass. So maybe here, yeah, this would be a good spot. Okay, taking into account that a player coming from this direction may be going very fast, I like to call this one the funnel, right? Okay, so especially when there's a lot of foliage here, what we want to do is create essentially a V shape. Not all the way to the axis to axis. So we want a V shape on this, well, one line here and one line here. Now, this is essentially a funnel, right? Now, this is just totally for an example's sake. So we could call it the arrow formation or the V formation. Now, this is how I like to do this. Sort of in correlation with each other in an arrow shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, you may be thinking, well, how is anybody going to hit this? Right now, this comes down to the decoy mines again. This is what we like to do. Now, this doesn't have to be mines. Maybe if you've got a friend, you can get a construction truck and maybe put some hedgehogs on the road. You know, one hedgehog here and one hedgehog there. Actually, let's move these a little bit closer. So let's say you're driving. And I'm going to get into a vehicle here and show you. Okay, so the premise of this is, say I'm coming down this road, heading towards Mort. I don't know, I might be driving at quite an exceptional speed. And I see these mines, and of course, don't get me wrong, you can see these mines on the right, but if you place them correctly, you're going at a very fast speed, you see these, and you want to hook, right? And of course, if you're hooking real fast, and you hit a mine, ta-da, right? This increases your kill zone. So you see these, maybe these people might hit these mines. You don't know, they may not be able to see. It could be the middle of the night, they might not have their lights on. If they do and they pull off, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chances and 8 other chances that this car is going to hit the mines. So I like to call this sort of the kill funnel, or yeah, let's go with the kill funnel. I think that's a more of effective name, the kill funnel. Now you could obviously stretch this for as long as you like. Maybe up to this tree here, maybe a half a kilometer. You could do that and you could just keep placing mines. Because a lot of people, if they're in a rush especially, they ain't going to think about the side of the road. They're just going to see these and think, oh, I can avoid them. That's just the mentality. That is a lot more effective than just this. Don't get me wrong. This may work in some instances, but I'm telling you right now, these two examples that I've just shown you are insanely more effective. So if you want to take into account some anti-tank gameplay, maybe you're not in the mood for rocket launchers, maybe you just want to try out the mines. This is definitely 2 strategies that you can use. If you do take these into consideration, maybe make a video of you using the mines and getting some kills. be sure to tag me in the video or send me a link or tag me on Twitter. You can find all the links to my stuff in the description. I'd love to see what shenanigans you guys can get up to.